with Megan Mazingo. Hey guys, so my oldest little boy came home sick from school today, and I noticed that he was just a little tired, and like he fell asleep literally from getting from one point in town to the other point in town, and he usually is like my Energizer bunny, so I knew he was a little sluggish. I didn't know to the extent that he was actually sick. So he just started throwing up, and he's now running a very hot, inflamed fever. So I wanted to give you guys some tips on how to bring this back into balance, especially for your children if they're coming home with sickies. There's a lot of stomach virus going around right now, so this can help your children with a stomach virus. I have in here the flowers of chamomile, and chamomile is a carminative, which means it's going to affect the digestive system. It's also cooling, so anything that's hot, tense in the digestive system is going to be brought back into balance because the herb by nature is cooling energetically. It's also a nervine, so it's going to bring relaxation to things that are tense. Anytime I'm throwing up, I always tense up. It's just a part of the body and how we react to vomiting. I also am adding in Yarrow. Yarrow is a diaphoretic, which means it's going to help reduce the fever by sweating and perspiring. You're going to want to sweat out and cool your body down. That's actually a form of losing fluid and a positive way to create dryness in the body. And so your skin is going to be wet topically, but it's going to be drying out maybe some of those pathogens back in the systems. So that's why I'm using Yarrow. I'm also using Meadowsweet. Meadowsweet is an analgesic, which means it's going to help reduce pain associated with the fever, the headache, the body tension, all of that stuff. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that in just a second. All right, so right in here is all of my herb matter, and I used about 3 just teaspoons. I'm not super measuring this one out because I know these are very, very safe, gentle herbs for children. I'm gonna put this in a little cap and then heat my water. If you don't have an electric kettle, you need an electric kettle because one and done. It's so simple. From this infusion, which is a very long, steep tea, we're going to be making a simple syrup that can be beneficial for children to just swallow down instead of drinking a ton of fluid that they may reject or may vomit right back up. So I've got my water here off the boil, and I'm just going to pour this in the cup, and you can see the extraction is already, kind of happening because the water is turning colors. So we're gonna let this sit. This is just like 1 little cup of tea to quite a lot of herb content. This has like a medicinal dose in there. So I'm gonna let this extract, and then I'm going to make a syrup with this tea, this infusion added to the syrup. And the reason I use more herb is so that the syrup ratio would be, we're making more volume. So if you are interested in wanting to learn how to make more of herbal remedies and botanical medicine for your children, a book that I recommend is Herbal Healing for Children by Demetra Clark. She is actually the herbalist that came up with the Clark's formula, the Clark's rule, which is a dosage for children to know what is appropriate and what is maybe a little bit too much or too little. Again, dosage is important, especially when talking with children about, what is appropriate of this herb, what is not appropriate, what is okay, and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I would use for your children. There's also recipes in there, which are phenomenal if you are wanting to learn how to make more remedies than just, like a tummy bug remedy. There's cough syrup in there. There's bedwetting in there. There's so much stuff in there that is kind of a gold mine for learning how to take care of your children botanically. So the next step in the process, you're going to need a preservative medium. There are two options here. You could do organic unrefined sugar and make a simple syrup with the sugar and the fluid from the infusion we just made. Or you could use a honey and use that as your medium for preserving the medicinal contents in the infusion that you're making. So the ratio for this would be 500 milliliters to 500 grams of sugar or honey. And that's basically just gonna balance out a 1-to-1 ratio of your infusion or decoction with your preservative medium. And usually this syrup will last about a month or so in the refrigerator. If you use an alcohol extraction, say you were using, instead of a tea extraction or an infusion, water extraction, say you were using an alcohol extraction, like a tincture, that would then last you about 6 months because the alcohol contents inside of the medicine is not as conducive for like bacterial growth or mold growth or just yucky pathogenic so that would be what I would suggest. Okay, so this is very important. Here's why. Sometimes your Pyrex measurements are not going to be as accurate as your actual scale, which is why I suggest weighing everything, especially if you're making medicine. So we're going to be using honey for mine. And whoa, before we do this, we need to make sure that we have the proper unit. So I want grams. We're gonna go to 500 grams. And then we're gonna heat this up. Again, some people have asked, will it denature the honey if you heat it up too much? Well, it could. However, if you think about Texas summer heat inside of a beehive, it's gonna be pretty hot in there anyways. So it's not gonna pull off too many, it's just not gonna pull off too many helpful properties. We're going to 500, y'all, so we're gonna keep on going. We're about nearly there. Bammo. And then you're gonna take this. There's about 6 grams over. Here's why I'm okay with this. Usually there's a residue that is going to stay in your container. It's late, y'all. Words are hard right now. So we're just gonna take this, we're gonna heat this up, and then we're gonna add our infusion to the heated syrup. So I just poured all that honey in my saucepan. I've got a ton of honey left over. And when I say a ton, I mean 6 grams worth. For all of my, I need it to be perfectly accurate, people out there. So I've got that on medium-high heat, and I'm just gonna let that warm up for now. I've got this infusion over here, and you can see it's getting darker in color, and sometimes it'll get pretty dark depending on the herb that you use, but we didn't use a ton of really dense green herbs like nettle or anything like that, or thyme. We used lighter color herbs like happy little chamomile flowers and our meadowsweet and our yarrows, so it's not going to be as dark. We need a wooden spoon to stir this syrup, and you can see, I'm going to flip this here, you can see that this syrup is getting thinner. It's a little bit easier to stir, and we're going to measure out our medicinal infusion to match our ratio for 1-to-1. So I gave my oldest 2 teaspoons, about 10 milliliters of the medicine that we made together. And now I'm running energy medicine on myself so that I do not get sick with a virus, a stomach virus. It's been fun. I made lots and lots of medicine. We made about 2 cups worth of medicine, which is medicine for several different families to use. So lots of goodness there, lots of extra surplus there. So I hope that you learned something. I hope that your family is staying well and healthy. But in the event they aren't, you have now been empowered to go and use those syrups for all of the reasons why we talked about using it. It's not just a one-size-fits-all. It's not, oh, this is just for my tummy bug. It's for hot inflammation. It's for pain relief. It's for tummy issues. Herbs are so versatile. It's not just about pairing an herb or an herb medicine concoction to one specific symptom or illness, because herbs are they're just smart, and there's intelligence from Creator all within the plants and all within the medicines and the leaves and the flowers. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk soon. This has been Medicinal Minutes with Megan Mazingo.